Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to All Things Raid Podcast with your boy Wally and also Supreme Overlord. And today we got some few topics in here today because we're going to talk about the new raid updates as far as just Faction Wars Hard Mode. We're going to do a little reaction to that. At the same time, we're also going to be talking about should Elhain and Galect get a rebalance? And also we're going to do a little conversation about how do new players get a decent amount of information at the beginning of the game of Raid Shadow Legends. So, hey, Supreme, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. A little bit under the weather a couple weeks ago, but got my starting to get a little bit under, my feet underneath me again. And then last week I had some personal stuff, but feeling good today, though. Feeling good.
All right. So let's start it off right here. How do players gain better knowledge of Raid Shadow Legends? So this is the conversation you wanted to bring up. So you tell me, what's your thoughts wrapped around this whole question that you had as far as for new players?
Yeah. The reason the question or the topic that I wanted to kind of bring up because there's the more I get deeper into playing Raid, there's more kind of like moments where like I wish I knew this earlier, or I wish I understood this faster, because that would have prevented me from making mistakes, wasting resources, and actually gained way more progression than what I got, right? And there's just so many different, and it happens in just about every area in Raid. And it's like, how do we that kind of led me to thinking of like, how do we bridge the gap for new players or even people that have been playing for a long time, that because when you don't know what you don't know, right, it's really hard to identify that you need to find that information. Well, it's all virtually impossible. I mean, what am I saying? To know that you need to hunt that down and incorporate that into you, right? It's not till later on, until a situation happens where it kind of shows you that your deficiencies, and then now you have to work on it, right? So kind of like, and there's no kind of like outside of the tutorial, there's really there's not much. Well, there's some like in-game guides and boss guides and stuff like that, and places where you can click on to learn about the depth of spells and stuff, but like I still misunderstand how spells work and how they work in relation to each other, right? Like the even things that maybe you can't even put in a tutorial, like the value of you know good team compositions and having certain buffs and debuffs, and the order of attacking, just like a lot of things that like you don't really, unless you've had experience in this type of game before, you don't really get, right? So my thought was like, how do we get, or how do new players bridge that gap to becoming more knowledgeable quicker? Yeah, and that's where kind of it started.
Right. So for me, when it comes to the idea of this, so speaking for me, right, as someone that came into this game around when Ronda was became the first free, to at least to my knowledge, became the first free given legendary champion in the game when they gave it out at the time that I came in. I ultimately never had any decent amount of knowledge of the game, right? I came in here face flat, like just came in here unknown, just try to figure it all out. Like why this champion's good, why this one's better than the next one, everything else. The only thing I did know at the time was keep everything, don't food ultimately everything just yet. Just keep everything in house and figure it out as you go and see what makes sense, who feels more stronger than the next person, who feels more viable than the next one, all that stuff. And then keep moving from there. It was eventually where I was like, okay, when I really wanted to sit here and really be serious about it, this is where I had to sit here and say it. And I think that's the thing, right? I think patience is really the key, because people have to have the patience enough to do the research, all this other stuff, try to see people have already did their due diligence with this game to at least, bring out the information of it and be able to say, you know what, this is the best champion, or this is the champion right here. How do all these other champions fare and stack left and right and all that stuff, where it allows you to be able to have these champions and you're effective enough to come into the game at an early convenience. So for instance, I want to say this. Like for instance, most people will think, okay, they see champions in the market and they're like, better to buy the champion in the market versus just just popping charts. And in some cases, yes, some champions are worth buying from the market straight up. Others not so much, right? But because you're thinking like, okay, I gotta get food, you automatically are devaluing what you're actually paying for in the market. Because most people will tell you when it comes to the market, especially before they did the rework of the market,
it was worse before.
Do not buy champions unless they were certain champions like the Armiger, the Shield Guard, the Separate Sniper,
Elf
and
Guard.
a few others, right? So other than those champions, do not buy them because they're not worth it. But other than that, is like the rest of them, they're worth it. Buy them, get them. Use them as books and copies for the other champion, or build another set build that another set in the wing, and then build that up when you have time, or when it's effectively needed for them to start using that champion. So there's just certain things like that, right? But ultimately, patience is a virtue. You have to really do your due diligence and read, understand how the skills work and everything else. So of course, when you guys got channels like Hell's Haiti, I know there's another person's page that has a breakdown of these champion skills and how good or bad they are. I think it's a Cumulove, and other places like that. They can tell you and break those down. Now, of course, you got multiple different YouTube channels that will tell you, hey, these are the best champions. Use these when it comes to when you need to go through these areas, right? And granted, there is like when you go look at it, there do have a little bit of like the areas like champions that work best here. Like what's a budget option? What's the most used champion? And then what's the more average base in certain areas in the game? They'll show you that, but ultimately, all in all, they don't show you the best ones. So I think honestly, and granted, yes, there is the rankings of the champions, but when you really think about it, I don't think so. Really, people really are coherently agreeing on what champion's good and what champion's bad and everything else. Because like some people say, oh, this champion sucks, but somewhere else they'll tell you, well, this is the rating for this champion. He's actually better than what most people are saying. So it's like, well, maybe there's a reason for why you don't want to use him because you have another champion or power maybe. So, the thing is to gain better knowledge in this game, at least from my standpoint, eventually you just got to just go look up somebody that actually knows the game. Because I ain't gonna lie, it was until I started looking around and start looking into other people that already did content on the game, and I'm like, okay, now I don't have to wasting time on other champions, wasting resources on other champions and all this. And then by the time you start understanding the game through other people, eventually you start understanding how to gain better knowledge for yourself as far as what route to take, how you're doing this and that, how you're building your champions and everything else. Because like, for instance, after doing all that I did in the game, I would definitely tell people right now, if you're trying to build up your champion to be great, more likely than not, it's going to be training your champion, feeding your champion so it can keep ranking up, training it again. But in the midst of training it, you're training it in Minnow, not in campaign. You're training it in Minnow. Why? Because you're going to get those scrolls. You're going to more likely get the scrolls faster than you can get the books, more 9 times out of 10. If it's rares, you're probably getting them nicely easier, right? Epics, Lego books, a little bit more tougher. So 9 times out of 10, you're definitely going to get the Minnow scrolls way faster than anything else amongst books. So you may as well just collect those, get those extra stats as much as possible, and roll out. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get those way faster than the other ones. You may as well just do that real fast, real quick, and then make progress. So, train them through that, get all their scrolls, and in that meantime, after that, then you can just fully, go out and just say max them out, either at 50, 60, however it may be, because that's going to be the best chance you have at really doing some real damage early on. So without them, you're not really doing enough of everything you really need to your best of your ability. So it's always best to do it that way, because that's at least how I see it playing this new game and even playing through my other accounts. Because now I'll definitely say, you know what? I should have did this sooner. Just constantly push those champions to minnow, gain the masteries, because I'm going to gain those first and faster enough anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I'm done with that, if they still need more leveling or I need to reach the next rank, I'm already ready with the masteries ready to go. And all I have to do is just go in there and train in campaign. Or maybe if I have a team where I'm able to do a three champion team, and then I have I can put 2 slots for extra food, or 2 slots for extra champions I want to build up, then I could just slot them right in. And then they can just gain experience through that. Either which way.
Now, I'm totally down with everything that you said there. Now, I've tried to have that approach. I think because like in the challenge account, like with everything you had said there, when I set my first team, I misjudged and I ended up leveling up or like the first team that I had committed for clan boss was a subpar team, and because I didn't have the champions yet to really fill some of the slots, like for specifically for buffs and debuffs. And so I committed to to leveling some champions. First, it was Abyssal because I needed increased defense. And then, so I got him to 50. And then while I was working on him, then I pulled Doomscreech, and then he's got the bigger version of increased defense. And so, you know what I mean? Like, when do you know it's a good time to start leveling through minnow? Because like I ended up starting to put like wanting to do kind of that same approach as like identify that first solid team, and then only focus on them. Don't level anybody else up, and focus on masteries and then the books on them. And then after all that, those first 5 guys are done, then any new 60s, everybody that I prepare to moved up to 60 are going to be leveled in minnow from 5-star all the way to 6-star, right? That way you get the time to get the books and etc. And hopefully by then you've got a bunch of extra books, right? Because it's going to take a long time, right? But then I ended up choosing some wrong champions, right? And then now I ended up with those 2 guys. And then when I tried to fix it, I was like, oh, I pulled a Zargala. She's got weakened, she's got decreased defense. So I tried to cycle it around, and then I ended up leveling her and like rushing her to 60 because I thought, well, her as well as Theodore will be the only damage dealers I need. And then I just need 3, and then it just didn't work out. And then I realized that, and then I pulled Geo, right? So like now I ended up wasting resources in 3 champions that I'm going to use at a later time. But like, how do that becomes like a knowledge gap, right? Like an experience gap. So the first step you would say is to kind of have that willingness to go out there and look for content creators and just resources on your own, because you got to put that level of care into it, essentially.
Well, from that standpoint, I would say that's a little bit more different. Because now you're talking about from a standpoint of saying, well, okay, I build these champions because of these type of skill sets that they bring along the way, and then eventually I had to make some swaps here and there. So the thing is, and that's the tricky part of the game, right? Is like, do you know for sure that this champion is someone you're needingly to build at the point in time, right? And because at the time point, you're like, okay, I built this champion, here it is. This is what I had at the time, so this is what I went with. Now you're saying, okay, well, wait a minute. Damn, I just pulled a new champion and it's actually better. Now what do I do here? And I think that right there becomes the axis of what most people say, FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, because it's like now you're like, scrap this. I got a better champion. Now it's time to move this one out and put this one in. And I think in most cases they're not. Like you say, you already had the Abyssal at 50, right?
The thing is that when I decided to set my first team, I didn't have a 60 yet. So that first team that I had was Aethel, Coldheart. I had set Abyssal, Stagnite, and Dazdirk. That was supposed to be my first team. because I didn't have anybody at 60 yet. But I had those pulls. That's why, like, the luck actually kind of made it. Maybe it was harder for me to kind of address, but for the most part, I had a bunch of the good stuff, right? I had weaken, I had decreased defense, I had decreased attack, I had a bunch of the buffs, and then I had Runekeeper with the cleanse, or Dazzlerk, and then in the heal, you know what I mean, the leech, so I'm like, oh, this might actually be a pretty decent team. I'm just missing ally protect, or like an actual defensive buff, right? So the only champion I had at the time was Abyssal. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to bite the bullet. And this is the guy that I put in there. But so in the time of getting my first 60, then my second 60, and then my third 60, the next champion came, right? And then at that point, I had already rushed everybody to 50 because I wanted to be getting clan boss done, right? And getting chests and getting books and shards. I shot at ancients, right? So, and then I pulled Doomscreech, right? So like it was all before I even had a chance, like because out of all of them, Abyssal was kind of like last on the list to upgrade or to get to 60 anyways. So like, because I had to obviously work on the Cold Heart and work on the Aethel, right? So like it was hard to. So so maybe it was a thing of I chose at a wrong time or way too early to set my first team. I should have been more open before then. Like I just can't. I'm just trying to. I just mess it up. I know that much because I know I have.
When you did your first team, right? You said you had the Aethel,
Cold Heart,
Keeper,
yeah,
Cold Heart. Who else?
Stagnite,
and then you said
Abyssal,
right? This is on the new account, correct? Like challenge
account? Yeah, on the challenge account.
Okay, so
we were all 50 at the time.
Right. So initially, right,
or close to 50, because I think Stagnite might have been the last really good pull right at that era. So this was before any of the really, really good pulls that I got. Like I didn't have Theodore and stuff yet, right? So these are the champions that I had decided to go with.
Okay. Well, so pretty much, I mean, as far as what it is for Abyssal, because granted, like I said, like if you go to websites like Hell's Hades, they'll give you like a little star rating of overall, right? And of course, they said he's a 1 in Demon Lord, which I mean, I don't think so. That's really partially true for the simple fact that he does brings the block buffs, which cancels out Demon Lord from getting the increased attack.
Yeah,
he does brings a heal for all allies, so which is good.
Yeah,
and then
AP, right?
Brings the increased defense with the increased attack. So I don't see ultimately nothing wrong with it. You said Aethel, you said Runekeeper, you said Cold Heart, you said Stagnite, and they said, because let's see here. Let me see. What does, because I think
my team's definitely changed a lot since then.
Because if I'm not mistaken, does Dazzlerk not do wait, where is Dazzlerk? Okay.
And that kind of brings us back to the kind of same senses, like through that process and learning, it's gotten me to be like, man, if I would have known more about the game, I might have been a better judge of how to
use I'll say it like this, right? So just to intervene real quick. So thinking about everything you said amongst your team, yeah, if I had to look back at what you did at that point of your account, I would literally have told you, yeah, raising up the Abyssal was sort of a bad move. And sort of, I mean truly a bad move. Well, let me tell you why. Well, one, because you got Runekeeper. And Runekeeper, he does the increased attack, but he does 50%. Now, granted, he doesn't bring the defense, but they can choose. 2, he fills the turn meter of all your teams anyways, so that's another thing. For the heal part, he again, you said it yourself, he cleanses, he heals, which he's gonna get extra boost on that on top of that. And then of course at the same time, and this is based upon this champion's max HP, so as long as you have him pretty high, he's gonna heal pretty strong. And then he's also placing an increase, he's also not an increase, but he's placing a 15% continuous heal for 2 turns for the based upon the debuffs that were removed. So if you guys already received poison, you're already getting continuous heal just because of the poison already. So Looking at that alone, that would have already told you Abyssal in comparison has already been closed out the door. Because the only thing Abyssal now is bringing is just really
increased defense
and then increased defense.
Yeah.
Which, granted, again,
I thought that was more valuable because I didn't have any because I didn't have strengthen, I didn't have ally protection, I didn't have increased defense. So I was like, I'm missing a defensive buff, right? So that's why maybe I overvalued it. I think for sure.
I mean, like I said, was it ultimately the worst thing you could have did? No, because again, it's like one, you bring another healer on the team, right? So you got two different healers on the team trying to keep you alive. That's one thing for sure. What else is there? Because that's really what it was. It's like you had two healers.
I was so weak then.
And then after that, you just had three different damage dealers. Well, actually, no. You had two healers, two damage dealers, and then you had one massive debuffer within the Stag Knight.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it wasn't the worst. It just wasn't the more ideal choice because out of the two things that you had, like I said, it was the best option for what you had based upon at that point in time. So
yeah, I didn't even have a Myrmidon. If I would have had a Myrmidon, I would have chosen that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but I had nothing. I still don't have ally protection on that account.
I mean, I have ally protection on mine, but I don't. But I didn't push Myrmidon on that account yet because honestly, one, I already have Coffin Smash, so I already mitigating some form of damage. And then, honestly, for the clan boss team, I just wouldn't know where to put him because even on his A1, he has decreased attack. But I'm like, Coffin Smash covers that already. So it's like, I don't know. So it never piqued my interest to try to get him on the team. Granted, maybe if I were to make a whole nother structured team, maybe that would be the idea I put him on. But that would be a whole lot of work just to consider because again, that's a whole lot of things to consider at that point. But yeah, because on his A2 he does an AoE attack, but with that is like I think is what 80% chance to drop a decrease attack, and I'm like, well, Cop Smash can do that on his A1, so I'm like, I don't know. I mean, granted, yes, the ally protection is really nice, keep everyone alive, place the continuous heal buff for 2 turns. That's nice. The only difference is because they're saying as far as the recommendation for artifacts, use lifesteal as one of the many ones, which is going to be for the healing. And granted, he does have 2 different stab moves, but I wouldn't even go with life. So honestly, I'd probably go with like maybe region, and if someone even had it based upon the timing of the game of when they got into the game. And let's say the Forge passes out there, and let's say they have Bolster out there, then I'll probably put Bolster.
Yes, I'm gonna put Stag Knight into Bolster as soon as I can.
Or if not Bolster, then I'll probably say even Guardian set would be nice because of course he does this already in a sense. So, but anything that is towards healing, yeah, I'll put him in because again, it's like because the other reason why I would say region at the baseline is because again, you have to think of it this way, right? You don't know if he's going to be a stun target, and since he's doing ally protection, you may as well have him as a possible stun target to soak up the damage or just to maintain control of taking in damage. While every time he gets a turn, eventually is like, okay, he's just getting some healing passively every some time. Plus, he already has the continuous heal, so that's another great thing that he has on him as well. As far as taking damage, you're just trying to keep him alive along the way. So having region, having immortal, which is the best 1-2 combo of trying to keep alive, that's like pretty much the main idea, especially since his moves are coming off of defense, so he's already going to be tanky enough to live long term. It's just that, like I said, as far as when it comes to what I've already chosen on my account in comparison, I wouldn't want to pick him right now in that team. But if I were to, let's say like right now, right? Let's say I were to think about like a full on defense to like HP type team, right? Then I already know right there, I already have Bulwark. I have the Coffin Smasher because again, he's already doing damage off of HP, right? Those are just those main 2, right? and the biggest thing of their damage is going to be coming off of HP burn. And then, of course, for Bulwark, he's extending the debuffs to stay longer as much as he can when it procs. So that's one thing from defense. Plus, if the Bulwark starts, he's already giving 17% extra added defense already. So that's another good thing right there. So if I were to put the Merman in, I'll probably put it at that as a nice little setup team from that point. And then from there, I'll probably put the Ugo with the War Priest just because at that point, and then just let them do their thing as far as like for Ugo just decreasing the defense, and then both of them just being used as heals to just maintain the defensive build team. And now as far as offense wise, I got the Kale again, got the Ugo. Now this is gonna be that's a little bit more of the tricky part because I don't think so I have anybody else that can really fit in there at this point on offense enough. Of course, War Priest. And then after that, there's not like I'm missing two different options. But even then, even from that point on offense wise, like just pushing out more offense, it's really more of a technical grab of saying, well, who else can I strategically put in there before I can even consider it? Because again, the main idea that I would do, because I do have a Frozen Banshee, but then again, it's like, okay, again, raising that up, putting investments in food, putting investments in Minnow just to get the scrolls and everything. So that is another thing that I'm still questioning overall. But it's something I always think about because, again, building like a team like defense, offense versus just building off of just utility of skill.
Frick.
Always.
Kale and Frozen Banshee together slap, though, don't they? So that's why it's weighing hard on you, eh?
It's not even just that because, of course, not only do I have the Frozen Banshee, before I got the Frozen Banshee, I also got the Grave Chill. And, of course, Frozen Banshee and Grave Chill work together really well, aka the Frost Sister combo, right? So it's like to just ultimately say, okay, Kale, I don't need you here no more. Let them do the job and let them go execute is something I have to still consider because I considered putting Grave Chill in the vault and saying, let me retire you real quick and put you back in there, and I'll probably come back to you later. But I haven't done that yet as far as I can remember because I can't get into my account because I have to wait to refresh my computer because it just every sometime this launcher stays on stuck mode. But yeah, but when I get back into the account, I'm gonna have to check it out, see where I'm looking at it. But ultimately, if I haven't moved her yet, I'm still gonna consider it. But yeah, she's like more likely a consideration that I might do there. But again, if I bring her there with Grave Chill, I believe. Hold on, let me see here. Let me look. Because Grave Chill, she brings not only she brings poisons, but I believe she brings decreased defense. So right. So on the A1, she brings poisons. The A2, right. So on the A2, she brings decreased defense. It becomes stronger. It becomes a bigger, stronger debuff if she's targeting the target under poisons. So naturally, if there's no poisons, she drops a 30% decreased defense. But if there is poison, then she drops a 60% decreased defense at 100% turn rate. So this is pretty much way more better, right? Especially if she has her books in, and her A2 is a really high rating hit. So that's a lot of damage being put out there. And then, of course, she puts out 5% poisons, then 2.5% on her A3 if the target is under poison sensitivity, which is another clear componency of having Frozen Banshee on the team. So, yeah, it's just like it's a whole lot just to say, let's just gut it out and then just replace everything just to, push that team. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, I can literally see Frozen Banshee just being a stay-in because, granted, most people will say this like, okay, by the time you have her plugged into Demon Lord, unless you get a stronger poison sensitivity champion, you're not really replacing her. And then it's like, other than that, same thing with Drag. It's like, okay, poison sensitivity is like you have her there. But like by the time you get someone else better, at this point, she's just nothing but a single target champion and she don't have no multi-hits. So it's like, well, do you really want to keep? She's not really that needed at that point anymore. She becomes a
Certain
replacement.
stages in Curse City or stuff like that. Like when you're like single target, it's hard because you have to get through the waves, right? Wave content makes you hard to choose.
Right. Well, yeah, and she's
It
like,
got
it's,
better.
it's okay because like she's one champion versus the rest, but it's like that's what I'm saying. Like the idea of it is tough because now you have to consider if this is really someone you want to push. Like, don't get me wrong, Frozen Banshee is great, and granted, yes, you could push her there just to say she's a standalone champion that you're just plugging in, and she'll just stay in the rotation of being in your clan boss team for the rest of her life, and you just have her as that. But then again, it's like I said, if you end up getting a champion that's way more superior, that can do it effortlessly, way more better, get you more points, well, why not? You know, and you know, by the time you wedge her out in her top positions where she's beneficial, which is pretty much Dragon and Demon Lord, then it's like, well, now she just becomes stagnant in a sense. And it's like, then you reduce her back to Faction Wars, and that's probably what she'll be at the end of the day, unless you choose to tank her with your Faction Wars team. But if she can complete everything that she has going on, then of course, yeah, you don't need to worry about it. You just let her be there and let her handle her business. So you know, but those are just the small things that I'm considering amongst the account. But it's definitely something I would have to consider. I mean, because again, Rachel's already at level 40 with 4 stars ascended, so I won't be against pushing Frozen Banshee because again, she brings poison sensitivity, and she's my only poison sensitivity champion at the early convenience. The only thing is now, because the way how I process it in the sense of offense and defense, that's just the real crux of saying, do I really have enough to really change, like to move the clock around and do this? Because again, would I really switch out the Kale? Not really, because again, Kale has a 4-star soul ascended, so I'm like, I'm not switching that out.
You only pair her up with
a lot of damage right there. I'm taking off the table. So, you know, it's just a lot of those things in prerequisites. But ultimately, all, those are like the main equivalents. Like even then, I think I know I'm gonna eventually switch out the War Priest for Apothecary, because Apothecary is gonna be way more better healer, even though he's single target. But you know, I'm gonna be moving more faster. He's gonna heal at a higher rate. The only thing is, to me, because I also thought about it in a new sense of making a whole new build, right? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, just put speed on him, just to make him fast." Honestly, in a sense, just because I want him to be faster in healing, I'll put the reflex out there on him. I'll put reflex with speed because I want to be able to have that chance to proc it so it can come back faster, heal up faster. So the team's maintenance is always keeping up, since he doesn't have an AoE heal, he's a single target heal. So things like that of that nature. So there's a lot of things to consider. But even though, like, I probably have Apothecary on the defense team, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Even though I can put him on the offense team as well, just because he's a healer and it'll be beneficial. So it's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of things to consider and think about, but it's a lot of strategy. But it's like, because you're doing it free to play, and then you're constantly waiting for the energy to repile up, which almost takes about 2 hours or so.
Yeah,
it
feels like sometimes I because there's so much time in between, I second guess my first decision, and then I go back and do something else, and then, or I'd be like, oh no, wait, I should be dumping this into champion. No, wait, I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to do Dragon Tournament. Or no, wait, I should have been doing in Minotaur. And then, you know what I mean? And then end up doing burning my energy regen like in 3 different things instead of being freaking efficient, right? So it's like, and I think it's a level of understanding and knowledge. Clearly, you know what I mean? For sure, you've been playing a lot longer and stuff like that. But yeah, bridging that to kind of like return back to the initial topic of the conversation is kind of like bridging that gap to new players to kind of develop that consideration. Because like I'm like hearing you break things apart, and I'm like, I would have never thought like, I make some considerations, don't get me wrong, but like I'm not making these next, you know, second and third tier level considerations that you're making. I'm making superficial considerations in comparison to you, I think. And I think that's where I'm making mistakes. So when you as who would you to kind of like maybe for people that are watching or just in general advice, which content creator or where would you say is a good place, or what topic is a good place for someone to dive in that want to kind of develop or start developing their raid knowledge?
Well, so as far as for content, I think if you're starting the game, is definitely a understanding gear and how that works. And B is knowing what is the most important thing to start up. Of course, is clan boss and then dungeons with a little bit of mix of tug and pull of arena. So you want to hear those contents because, of course, the biggest thing about this game is the biggest death trap of this game is you have to constantly compete in arena just to gain medals, just so you can get stronger because you have to invest the medal back into the Grand Hall. Then you have to get the freaking Magic Steel just to be able to forge gear. So that all matters, right? At the like those are like literally the top three things early in the game: dungeons, clan boss, and arena. Those are literally the three top things early on that you're more likely focused on across the board. And dungeons alone is a whole lot of stuff you have to think about because there's potion keeps, there's minnow, then there's the actual the bosses for the gear. Then eventually later down the line, then you have the iron twins for the souls when you get that open. Then you have the other two bosses for the oils. So
it's a lot to micromanage.
Yeah. So
and prioritize
things like that. Now, as far as content creators, who do I think that people should go out there and listen to? There's a whole bunch. I think everyone's really good. It really depends because again, everybody has a certain je ne sais quoi of who they like to listen
learning
to.
Style.
Yeah. Some people may love the entertainment factor while learning. Some people may love the straight up, just
tell me what it is and get me out of here.
Right. So some people are a little bit different in who they partake in. So for me personally, I think if you really want a decent grasp of learning the game, especially from the early game perspective, because as far as I know and can attest to, as far as I know from my reach, the only person I ever seen that really broke down early game, mid game, late game, and end game was literally Cold Red. So he was the only one I knew that actually broke it down and gave a nice little breakdown of guide to know when you really got out of early game or when you have some success in early game, like halfway, and then when you're about to leave early game as far as some achievements and some goals so you should handle. So just looking at that, it gives you a good tail line of knowing where you are in the game as far as if someone asks you, hey, are you early game? Like, where are you in the game? Like, you probably mid game, early game, something like that. Or you're a little bit co-op because you probably had this going on, but because you didn't beat this, it's like, okay, well, you're not, you're somewhere in the middle, however, maybe. But there's a lot of things that are, I mean, for me, I would say like this, looking at the notes that he presented, I do believe there's somewhat of a slight difference that I would probably change just to considerate how certain people may be considered early game or, all this other stuff, but, things like that. But he's one of them. Then there's other people. Hey, you may want someone like Ash because Ash, hey, he may be a spender. You may not be a spender, but you know what? I know Ash is spending. And because he's spending, I know he's giving me a real life review of a champion and he's out there testing out to see if this champion is good. How far can you use him? How deep can he go or that champion go? And then if he's worth it or not, right? Because you'll hear one skill and think, oh, this is going to be great. Yeah, this champion is good. And in reality, you go find out, he tests them out and it's like, oh, that champion is just horrible. But he has all the skills. He has the increased attack. He has the increased crit damage. Why he sucks? Multipliers are just horrible.
Yep.
So you hear those type of skills and you think to yourself, oh, those champions are great. They probably can do some damage. They probably can nuke. In reality, they're below the tadpole. They have the skills, but they just don't smack.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. And then what area of like if they were like to have homework, like would you say like armor or understanding, starting to get a good grasp of like artifacts and how they work in sets and bone, like where do you think somewhere is a good topic for someone to really try to like get a good foundation on?
yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much like I said before, the topics is
Mhm.
gear, pretty much arena, dungeons, clan boss, pretty much the main four that I said. But most people are gonna need to know that because it's like again, um, a lot of people can easily see, right? Like the game teaches you a little bit, like, oh yeah, if you put 2 piece of life steal set, right? Well, sorry, life set, you get 15% extra HP. And you thinking,
Mhm.
oh, that's great. In reality, it's like that's really nothing in comparable to certain things that you would need, right?
Keep
For
getting
instance,
that knowledge.
regardless of any of your beginner champions, everyone will tell you, hey, always have life steal because you're gonna need it. Right. And it's like, and
So
you
the
gotta
ins
get
and
that
outs
set. And
of
you
armor,
gotta
yeah,
have,
and then mhm.
so other people may say because they see the numbers like, oh, this may be a 4-piece set, this may be a 2-piece set. So I want to get the boost. A lot of players will tell you, hey, early on, don't worry about the extra additive set boost for certain things. Just go straight up for the actual stats. If you're able to, right? If you, let's say you got everything right, you got the set boost and you even got the right stats all compiled together the same, and you're able to just plug it in, hey, by all means, go ahead, right?
Mhm.
But of course, in most cases, they're not. You just don't really need to worry about the set boost because the set boost may not be the best condition for the gear
Stats are
because you
more
never
important
know if you have that. So you just go for stats. So
for sure.
because I've been through I've been through some accounts just to see, and trust me, like because I know like certain people will say this, right? Because I remember talking to one person that I was helping on their account. They build their UDK to have a whole lot of HP and a lot of defense being slow. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, right? They probably heard Ash or whoever else said that. And like, yeah, that's a good strategy when you're way more developed, but you're in the early games, you don't have time for that. Like, wait until you get later on, and then you can probably figure that out. But right now, you need your UDK to be fast because this slow stuff ain't gonna help you out. He's gonna keep on dying, and he can't help your team maintain. So yeah, like early on in, don't be thinking you can do the high end stuff like the other big players. Again, focus on speed. As they always tell you, speed is the biggest commodity in the game. So focus on speed. And trust me, when I changed up his set, he became like the UDK became like 185 afterwards. And then the actually way more better defense and HP sort of took a damper down, but it's like, hey, look, for the benefit of the champion and the benefit of what you're trying to do in your account, you need it. You need it. You need it. Even the nut, he had the nut with less accuracy and less speed, and I'm like, I boost that up too. The defense didn't went down as much. I think the HP still like decently around the same thing, and the crit damage and the crit rate was crit damage took a little damper, but still significant, still like 200+%, right? So just those things alone, like there's just certain things you just got to do early on that you don't want to do anything like someone late. So I do believe, like, yes, there is certain advice or certain people that you want to listen to as far as that. But other than that, if you're someone that is just strictly free to play and you're trying to like learn from just people that are free to play, then of course, yeah, you go learn from the Cold Reds, the Boozers, and
Mhm.
since they're big time experts at playing free to play. Now, if you're someone that just don't care, you're just looking at it just for the knowledge factor, then almost anybody, you're the Ash, Ray Shadow Legends, Nub Raids, Hell's Hades, and so much more. There's so much more.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like I look at everybody, don't matter who it is.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but you just take your
I
information.
noticed. I noticed you didn't mention Clan Boss, or not Clan Boss. Faction Wars.
Well, yeah, I didn't mention Faction Wars because that's just so like it's not. I mean, a lot of people
It's
like to
not
say
that important
it's
at the
like,
beginning, but the transition.
well, yeah, well, even then on the track, well, we'll get to the transition, but the
Yeah.
only reason why I don't mention Faction Wars in most cases, most people are never going to be able to do faction wars early on. Now, I will say this. I'll give you this little quick tip. If you're going to do faction wars at the early convenience, then this is my quick tip for anybody else here, right? Let's say you start off with one of your beginner champions, neither that's Aethel, Kayle, Elhain, or even Galek. One thing that I did on my referral accounts that I have, right, because for plugged in from my main account, what I did is if I had a Kayle, I will start grabbing every Dark Elves champion I can and use it, and then use that so I can just push faction wars a little bit early whenever Dark Elves is open. Same thing with the Aethel, push it until I have Sacred Orders open to a decent amount as I can. High Elves, same thing. Push any other champions I can just to get deeper into High Elves. Galek, same thing. Push any amount of the Orcs and push deep into the Orcs faction wars as much as possible, just so I can get enough resources every other time. And then everything else is all dependable on whatever I have at that time of the account. But yeah, but most cases than not, most people are never going to have a lot of champions early on to really do faction wars to that degree. So like most people say, faction wars is like mid-game territory, or well, for me, I like to sit and say it's more so like tier 3 early game.
Okay.
And if people wondering what do I mean by tier 3 early game, if you look at the missions, by the time you hit like the third set of missions, pushing yourself to Arbiter, I believe around that time you have enough champions to really able to help you out in faction wars, unless you're spending. But yeah, if you're early, if you're someone that's free to play, more likely you have enough champions at that point to really start pushing faction wars at that time. So yeah.
For sure. That's exactly what I'm experiencing too. I got like nothing really made, even on my main account that's got a bunch of champions. Right. Just not there. It's hard.
But speaking about faction wars hard mode, the new update. So let's talk about it just a tad bit. Let's talk about it a tad bit here. So I got the little news article about it.
Yeah.
So pretty much what they're pretty much trying to say here at its core, the newest difficulty of faction wars works as you would expect it. Beat harder crypt stages and earn greater reward, but it goes beyond fighting tougher opponents. So let's take a closer look. First, you won't unlock hard mode until you complete normal. That's common sense. And of course, receive your final reward, which is Lydia, the Death Siren. If you do that, and we happen to release new factions in the future, aka, ladies and gentlemen, they're signaling the last pocket that they have, the last flag pocket that they haven't released yet, which literally I would think they would have did that first before releasing hard wars. I mean, sorry, I said hard wars, hard mode faction wars, but they didn't. They actually released it after. They're about to release it after the fact, which only tells me anybody that comes after this is done, you're just pretty much on the behind the scenes, right? And then for anyone that hasn't got it done yet, then you're just taking an extra burner to get there.
Yeah.
Right. But let me keep going. So where was I? Right. So if you do that and we happen to release a new faction in the future, you will retain access to hard difficulties regardless. Okay, so great. So even if the new faction does comes in, but you're still able, but you already grabbed Lydia, more likely so, and everything else, then you're still able to go to hard difficulty regardless. It don't matter. So that's cool. But we'll have to beat we'll have to beat the new crypt on normal before they can become accessible to hard, which is sort of a damper. But yeah, a lot of that stuff. But of course, there's also hard mode faction keys. So pretty much the keys are pretty much the same. I wish they had separate keys. I didn't wish the keys were the same, because that's like a double-edged sword in my opinion. Like, it's like you're gonna use your keys on one particular area. It's like
it's like curse setting, where you got to manage your keys based on the difficulty, right?
Yeah. So I just wish they didn't really like make it the same. I thought like, okay, we have keys for this, and then we have a different set of keys for that. But it is what it is. And then, of course, the new challenge, right? We're introducing a new rewards change for hard mode. Like before, you earn stars by completing Crypt stage without losing any champions, which unlocks various milestone goodies. However, completing a stage without any losses will only net you 2 stars this time. To get 3, you'll need to fulfill a specific condition that will differ from one stage to another, which is sort of like what we're dealing with in Curse City in a sense, right? Like now we're conditioned to have certain champions, but now we have a different win con to actually win the stage, which creates a problem in a lot of cases, because now let's say hypothetically you have to beat the boss with poison, but depending on certain factions,
you don't have a poison.
There may not be a poisoner in that faction. So it's like, oh, you have to go get Toxic set, and that champion has to have Toxic set just so you can beat through it. So which creates new strategies and new effortless problems, because now you have to do some extra stuff. These can include only killing enemies after stripping their buffs, not letting them heal even once, which is insane, applying specific debuffs, and so forth.
Like poison. Yep.
You'll see what is required on team selection screen before the stage, or you can check it from the info tab by tapping the 3-star conditions, drop down, and finding the stage you need. We ensure these requirements suit the factions required to clear a specific crit. So you don't have to worry about the impossible task. So of course that means depending on the faction, depends on what debuffs you're gonna need or what specific, ideals you're gonna need overall, which is fine. My only thing to this I really just don't like is I just don't like the condition. Like the condition, I think is honestly it's a little bit, it's too much, because like God forbid you don't have the right champion, you're just gonna be stuck there waiting.
Yeah,
and it's like
you'd be stuck in certain phases until you get that built up, or you get a good enough version of the set that you need. Like it's
right,
gonna hold,
so it's already
hold that.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, because think about it, basically saying, oh, you can't win until you you cannot win an actual stage if you allow the enemy team to heal once. Like what? That's like basically saying you have to have continuous heal reduction on 100% heal reduction complete.
Well, then you gotta go with that with like block active skills or a bunch of different things, stuns or silences, or not stuns and freezes and shit like that.
Right. So that's that's really problematic, because I have to put so much stunning or stun lock. But then you have to think about it this way: the boss usually is blockade by not having debuffs. So stun control, so like
a lot of those won't even
status
work.
Controls won't work in most cases. So once again, depending on a faction that tells you that, hey, the only way to win this stage is by making sure they don't heal once, you have to have someone that has the up tempo of having heal reduction. And then depending on how strong this boss is, how good is their resistance? So it just creates a whole problematic. But of course, that's just the challenging part of the game, right? This is why there is a bloodthirst when it comes to dealing with Arena, because you don't like it, because you have to beat up Arena just to get the medals, just to be able to push to get that, and just to have a decent amount of 100+ accuracy. Because I think by the time you rank up your affinity within that particular Great Hall, you get like 100+ accuracy and 100+ resistance and some others, big time stats from that alone. So it is just very, and that's a long grind. And then to have so much of the goal just to say, to be able to do this, it's just like, man, look, it's just too much. As much as I've been in this game, it's still taking me a while just to be able to say I'm able to compete in like deeper levels of silver. Cause I can get into silver, but the thing they need me to get into right now is tier 2. I still am pushing for tier 2, and I still can't get through. So that right there is like It's an ugly thing, but nonetheless. But let's switch over because we do have guys a video reaction we're gonna do over at Hell Hades. So let's see what he has for us about hard faction wars, and let's see what he talks about.
Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Okay, guys, it is patch day. I don't know if anything's actually dropped in the news here. I don't think so, no. But anyway, we have got a red dot on Faction Wars, so we must have hard Faction Wars in the mix. What we got open today? 2 factions open today. We're just going to do a run. We're just going to try out the new content and see the kind of ways that we should be building teams here. 6 keys per run, so we're going to be able to do 3 different stages today. And obviously, we've got a chance to get the glyphs, but also the relic materials, and start to get some of this 3-starring going on. So I guess, does it tell us in here? Beat stage, 3-star is to place a bunch of stuns. I would say, like,
yo, you see?
10 plus stuns.
You see this? Place 10 plus stun debuffs just to be able to clear.
Well, think about it though. Well, think in the context of hard mode. By that point, won't everybody have like 300 plus like speed? So they will be attacking a ton of times per round.
Okay. So let me say it like this. In most cases, this is why I said I compare this to more like Curse City, because yes, in Curse City, when you get deeper into the areas, you're gonna eventually need like champions to stun the waves.
Mm-hmm.
So guaranteed enough, yeah, I can see like, yeah, this would be an option. But he chose Shadowkin, right? This is the Shadowkin faction. I don't know too much Shadowkin faction champions that can really stun lock a team unless you put stun on them.
Stun set,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and looking at this, like, okay, Arima, I know Arima got an AoE. I think Mishinaki got an AoE. But after that, the rest of the 3 here, okay, actually, Jensen has an AoE for the drop defense. But other than that, it's like you really just got a bunch of single target strikers. Granted, it don't matter. The main idea is to always put plus 10 deep stuns anyway, single target or all of them anyways. But again, there's 5 champions here. If I'm able to put stun, it's really easy if you're just hitting everybody, right? So, it like I said, it's just it may seem like out of pocket, but at the same time, it's like, is it doable? Yes, in fairness, right? It's doable because as long as you're able to just stun everybody in the waves as much as possible. But it's just like, but if you don't got a champion,
I'm with 3 stun sets,
then you got to invest in sunset, and it's like it's crazy.
Or have like champions that have stun on their A1. You know what I mean? Like in order to get it done.
Yeah. So with
like 1 nuker.
Oh yeah, let's keep going.
the filtering now is your friend in Faction Wars, and generally in a lot of the new content, actually, just being able to come in here and just be like, right, who is going to be able to apply stuns? Obviously, if you've got Mikage, it's going to be awesome because Mikage just puts stuns out for fun. You definitely want a drop defense champ because these enemies are going to have hella high defense. Like they're level 250. They're going to be extremely strong. So we're going to have Mikage in there. The way I would generally run teams, these are going to be quite fast. Let me just see what we've got going on here. I'm just wondering, like, obviously, Buren Giri is going to be able to come in and give you AoE stun if you are struggling for stun champions. But Mikage is giving you like a full enemy stun with her second form. So I think for most people, that should be kind of like job done. And then we've got a couple of other ones in the mix as well. Let's just take that off for a second. Just wondering who I want in here for like turn meter stuff. So I've got a drop defense twice. I've got damage, stun. So I could probably just take out. Maybe this is just fine, actually. I was wondering about doing this and just grabbing myself some more speed. She's at like 270 speed, really so hopefully that'll be enough to get going. Really so yeah, the way I'd generally be building out teams for this new style Faction Wars is, what's the requirement? How do you fit them in? That's number one for me. And then it's about someone who's going to be pushing forward your turn meter, someone who is going to be dropping defense of the enemy, and then probably a couple of people in there for damage. As we get to harder stages, it might be we need more control and less damage. So 3 stuns. If you hit the pause here, you can see your progress against the mission for this fight. So we're just gonna, I think we're gonna decrease speed of the enemy. And I would suggest, certainly in these earlier sort of plays where you're trying to work out what you're gonna do, I would just suggest playing on manual. We're not actually doing too little amount of damage though, which is good to see. At this first stage here, these are not that strong. All I'm doing is I'm just going to focus on anyone who's not stunned for my play and just try and get back my cooldown so that when I'm on the next wave, I can just basically cycle back into those same abilities again and just find the content a lot easier. So we've got our AoE stun back, making it super easy. This time we're going to push our speed because I don't have my other ability ready. Because I stunned everyone, we're just going to come in with my AoEs. Do want to get my stun back for the next wave. So I've only got 8 so far. So just going to hold abilities, try and get back to Kage's abilities, which is done there. So you can see just playing manually, okay, it's taking a little bit of my time. And I could probably do it on auto, doing the same type of thing. But I just think, this is where manual play actually starts to come in. So we're just going to go A2, block revive there. And I can auto from here. So wave 1, easily done with the stun achieved. So we should get our 3 stars, which we do. Okay, just quickly beat some arena so I can go a little bit further in what I'm showing. So what's going on here? Second battle is about placing provokes. Now, again, filtering's your friend, so you can come in and just check out who you've got that can do provokes here. I would say Taragi is top tier for this. Take out one of my damage dealers, bring another provoker in. Looks like this fella, the Stork, is coming in for both of these things. Increases his champion's defense each time they counterattack. At the end of this champion's turn, place provoke for 1 turn on all enemies under increase attack. Under increase attack, which is unlikely because we're not going to let them take turns. So, okay, he's not good for that. What else have we got here? If the target's max XP this is attacks 1 enemy provoked. So we really want the AoE. So Taragi, Harima are going to be probably the 2 best champs available here. So probably, again, just one of the things you definitely want to be bringing is lots of control. Now, obviously, I'm going to be provoking, but there's still no reason not to stun, right? So stun means I'm not going to take any damage. We're just going to go in there, AoE provoke.
Higher stages.
Nice, got it on everyone. So that's 5 in the bank. I only need 10, so that's cool. So now we can just get this wave dead. I'm going to save my drop defense here. Save my Taragi. Well, I'm not sure what my accuracy is on my Taragi, actually. Okay, I did land something, so that's cool. It feels like it could work.
Not bad.
Shinarki's just doing a ton of work here, just literally ally attacking with everyone. He's like, I know it was 50%, but we're going for 100.
Bunch of
we're just A1 everyone down. So this is, again, it's actually not just a hard tactic. This is like any gameplay which is quite tough. A1 is your friend. So what we can do here is I can just buff my accuracy with my Mikage. Pick my speed up as well. See if we get another AoE provoke. Cool. So we've done the mission. At this point now, it's just let's kill the fodder. I can flip her back into damage mode. We can get our kind of like team coming in to clean up. And then we should be good for auto for the final wave. So again, just making sure that I've got a couple of ways to achieve the goal. If I didn't have any of those provoke champs, then provoke set is your friend. It's like a 20-odd% chance, maybe 23%. I'm not sure. So something like that to land a provoke. So every wave that you're hitting with an AoE, you're basically giving yourself like probably a 1 or 2 chance of getting provokes away. Similar thing with stun set in that first level. If you don't have the stun champs, then anyone who's doing like a decent amount of AoEs will be able to get you some of that done. So first 2 levels cleaned up, 3-star in each. And obviously, if you go back in, if I had enough materials, I could now ×3 the super raid here. Final one for this one then.
You can ×3 super raid? What?
Okay, we've all got a ninja, so it's going to be burn, sorted.
Big 10 HP burn. Oh man, that's the one thing that I would struggle with.
Tool. My
I only
eyes
have
can see
single
it.
target
2
HP
times
burn
at
right now.
random. Chance to place
Oh, man.
burns. It's probably not a bad one. We've got an epic here as well. Place HP burn for 1 turn. So, on 1 enemy. We got to do it 10 times. It might be that you've just kind of got to deal with that, right? So that's, and obviously got A1 from Mishinaki as well. So I've got plenty of options. I think most of us will have a good amount of options here, at least for those first 3 trials on this. So we can just try and deal with this annoying guy. In fact, I probably should be dealing with Heffrak first, so he doesn't come at me. At least get the provokes away. Go for the triple burn. What did I land there? Just 1? Just 1. I'm just going to A1 with Mishinaki and try and get burns away. Okay, Heffrak's gone. Get there 2. 2. Not ideal. Okay.
This is the problem. This is what you're worried about when
burn,
this
that's 3.
happens.
Get my provoke
You
away.
won't
Again,
got
just like control the enemy. We can use
Oh,
Ninja's
man.
A3 freeze to get back to our A2 quicker. Try and get a burn away. There it is. Guess we're just going to take him out. So what are we at so far? 4. We're actually kind of
Well behind.
causing myself a bit of problems here because I'm
Not enough
munching
to
through the enemies too quick. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to flip form here, get stuns out so that I can just control the enemies a bit better and try and get more burns going.
The thing
So
is,
burns here. Hopefully we land a few. Good.
All right, that's
So we're now up to
there's
7.
only
Need 3
5
more.
built.
Mishinaki is literally just like A1, try and get some burns away. Hopefully we don't
You're
get
still going to be
caught out. We're
short.
going to get more stuns up. Just A1, hoping that Mishinaki comes in for the fight. Didn't do it.
Even if you got these last 2, you'd still be 1 short.
Killing stuff instead.
Unless they have a revive that you're going to let them revive.
Decrease speed on them. Where's your burns, my friend? Let's stun them so we don't start taking too much damage. I do need my whole team alive. Maybe get provoke away here.
Or I guess you could reburn.
Okay,
some of
burn
the
time. Come
alive
on.
ones, eh?
I mean, you
Did it
could
any?
if they-
No, it's still on
Sure.
7. Damn it. Okay, we're just going to look for a burn target. It's got to be this one over here.
Ugh.
Weak hit again. So Ninja's A3, so we've got a chance to get it back, but I do need to clean these buffs off. It's her other form, right? She can deal with that. Or a bit, at least. It's all falling apart here. I don't really want to kill anyone because I want to be able
It's
to
all
apply
falling
my burns to
apart.
them. Can't get through this block debuffs. How do I not kill him? Just don't kill him. Okay, we got 1 burn away. I need 2 more. Let's just speed me up. We did it!
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, that was a bit lucky.
Okay, see
yeah,
that?
just
See,
crowd
That
control, crowd
was
control.
a
No,
Ladies and
struggle.
gentlemen, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. That is just a piece of work. But that is a lot of resources. 126 of that in one battle? Holy hell. That's a lot of resources.
That's a lot of those, yeah.
I'll give it credit. That's a lot of resources.
Holy crap.
But man. Oh,
When you don't have the ability to do the AoE, like whatever it is, version of whatever they're asking you to do, man, that's gonna be rough.
It's gonna be long ways. But you know, it just goes to show you, right? It's just like in that grip of the moment, like that right there already shows you, like, phew, that is a pain.
Yeah.
That is a pain. That is
But-
literally a pain.
I'm still kind of excited to try to get to it though.
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be that thing because
I'm
again,
like-
of course, at least now you get a new chance at a new mythical, right? So you know, and all that stuff. So it's definitely gonna be good. But we took a little inside scoop on that. But let's go on to the next topic, right? And this is more of a beginner standpoint to the conversation. Should Elhain and Galek receive a rebalance as far as starter champions? So this is my topic, so let me start this off. So why did I made this as an idea topic? because personally, when you look in comparison to what Kel brings, to what Aethel brings, those two actually bring two noticeable skill sets that do help you beat up Demon Lord.
Mhm.
Whereas Elhain and Galek do not. So let me read off, Elhain's skill set. Actually, let me put it on the screen. Let me share this. Let me share this tab real quick. Let me put it on the screen, right? So shout out to those Hades for their website, and they're having all this presented. I know most of you guys cannot see it. Wait, let me just squint this up forward so you guys can see it a little bit. Hopefully that shows off the screen. Okay, great, it does. So yeah. So looking at Elhain, right? Keen shot. Attack one enemy. Place an extra hit if the attack is critical. Honestly, just make it a 2-hitter. Attack one enemy. Able to attack twice. Just call it a day. Like, don't just make it a 1-hit and then do it, because like almost everybody else. Well, okay, except for Kale, but almost everybody else is able to do a 2-hitter.
Mhm.
And then Aethel technically is able to do a 3-hitter on her A1. So make it a 2-hit. Make it a 2-hit. On her A2, Lightning Arrow. Attack one enemy, then attack all enemies, right? So single target to AoE, right? Has an extra 50% chance of inflicting critical hit. So pretty much you already know she has 15 at the base. Add an extra 15 based upon the skill. That makes it 30. So you need only 70% of the crit rate involved to proc it at 100%. As far as you facing the right infinity, if you're facing a bad infinity, then of course you just need more percentages. Place a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns if the target is killed. So this is one of the skills that I actually would change a little bit for only one reason only. A, because in more cases than not, let's say you already build it at 100, right? And granted, if you're facing a weak infinity, it's going to drop down. So, of course, if you're able to nuke off an enemy, then it's going to bring it back up if you're facing a bad infinity choice. So that's one thing. But I think, honestly, because of Elhain, she's literally one of the best, champions amongst the 4 that does excessive amount of damage, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, crit rate is only just one thing. It's not the main thing. I wish they added, if she knocks off an enemy, yeah, you get the crit rate, but maybe increase attack or increase crit damage would be nice. I think, honestly, especially when she's like one of the best damage dealers out there amongst the 4, you would go for that strat, in my opinion. Just my honest opinion. And then on her A3, Valley of Death is just a basic AoE 2-hitter. On this skill, I would also change it. I think if you're so for instance, let's say this is my rework, right? Valley of Death, attack all enemies 2 times. If you survive the attack, then they get decreased. They pretty much get decreased attack and maybe decreased accuracy. Because at that point, you're wounded, so you're not able to do a lot of attacks, or you're not able to also focus either. So giving that idea visual, right? So if you survive, so at least one, not only is it good for Demon Lord because you're getting a decrease, you're getting a big chunk of decreased attack, which hopefully is like maybe 50%. I doubt they will do that, so it might be just the 25. But either which way, right? You get that, but at the same time, even with accuracy, like later down the line when you go to Hydra, it still be useful, right? When you do the AoE drop, because now you're also dropping down their accuracy as well. So especially if they're able to survive the attack. So that's something I would think that would be a smart detail of a rework. Do you agree, or do you have an input on a skill?
I like the idea. The premise I think is an awesome one, because I do think that universally the it's obvious the 2 reasons why you choose or the 2 best options are Kale and Aethel is because that advantage on your clan boss team, right? And it kind of leaves Elhain behind and Galek. So I totally agree on that premise. With the rebuild here, yeah, I like that idea. Just bringing like a decreased attack or decreased accuracy, like you're saying. I like all the different suggestions, whether they're in that exact same order or maybe spread out, or maybe put some conditions of like where it says on each double attack, right? You have a chance of putting, like the first one lands, or how they do those like
Yeah,
those
like the
that
first
text where it
one,
says
and then it's like
you get a
decrease.
chance, so you get
and
continue
second
to get multiple chances of applying it. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing that sucks about Clan Boss is getting things to stick.
Right,
Sometimes
but my thing is because I'll
It'd be
even
nice.
add right. I'll even add if you're able to survive Valley of Death, then the debuffs can't be resisted. Since technically Elhain doesn't need accuracy, right? So
some sort of mechanic like that would be awesome. That way
yeah,
you
like
can
so if you
can
saying like okay, you
consistently
survive
keep it
Valley
up.
of Death, then you automatically take these debuffs. You can't resist it.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Right.
Decreased
So,
attack is so huge for Clan Boss too.
yeah, so it's a smart
I
idea
agree.
as
I
far
like
as set.
I like it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make too many changes. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so going on to Galect real quick. Let's move it over here. Let me make sure I see
Correct,
everything.
man.
So for Galect, more so A1 cross / attack one enemy 2 times. I think honestly I keep this the same. Only thing is I would probably make this a little bit more as far as like make it a little bit more better in damage, make it average instead of weak damage. Hellraiser. Attack all enemies, have an extra 50% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Place 30% increased speed buff on the champion for 2 turns. Now, the only small change I would make here for Hellraiser is actually being able to place the HP burn.
Yep. We were talking about
Place
that.
the
Yeah,
HP
I
burn.
totally agree.
Literally, just place the HP burn. Just add that mechanic right in there. Place the HP burn. Call it a day. That's the main thing. Cursed Blade. Okay, so obviously the first thing that I want to change about this is drop the turn meter at least once. And if you're not gonna drop the turn meter of it, like if you're not gonna drop like the amount of turns,
The cooldowns.
cooldown, then my next idea is okay, keep it at 5 and make it an AoE. Why? Because again, this is how I would change it, right? I will take away the decreased defense. Why? Because honestly, there's other champions that do the job way more better than him anyways at this point. So just take away the decreased defense. What I would do here is, I'll change it to an AoE if you keep the 5 turns. I'll change this to an AoE. Amongst the blades becoming an AoE, right? They do more damage when the target enemy is under HP burn, which is why you need the A2. So, right? Because usually you're going to go A2 first. You're going to get that increased speed. You're going to place the HP burn. Then you get another AoE. Now you're doing extra damage thanks to Cursed Blade dropping on a champion that has that. So if all the enemies have HP burn and each of these Cursed Blades are being striked at the target, then they're all taking extra damage. Or in this case, they're taking ignore damage, like ignore 25%, 20%, whatever, how much you want to ignore, however it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, again, make this average or make it even a stronger make this even more stronger than what it is. Now, if you were to put a cooldown on it, then I would still sit here and say, I still say AoE, honestly, because I don't like the idea of randomness, but hey, okay, fine. If you're going to keep the random part, like I said, bring the cooldown, bring it to 4 turns, right? I would definitely cut this off, of course, like the buffs, because there's really no need for buff here. So maybe there's a little bit of more damage here, however it is. But yeah, do it at random, like I said. If the target is under HP burn, then you take extra damage. So you maybe ignore 5%, 10% damage of defense. That's what I would do here for Galect, in my opinion. What do you think?
I like that too. On his A2, is that an AoE?
Yes.
So the AoE would be an AoE HP burn then.
Right.
Okay,
Wow.
so
You also place the in-screen speed, yeah.
I was just gonna say maybe the only thing that I might be that might add might be like a buff spread, right? But if it's an AoE, if you got the right amount of accuracy, then it should land on everything.
Yeah, I mean they're really not. I mean, I really wouldn't see a buff spread with Galect since he's
It's not necessary.
champion. Yeah,
Like
because
spread the fire, you know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. He looks like his attacks, his animations make me feel like it would it'd be like a fire spread, or it would have HP burn in general, right? So that's the only reason why I say. But I don't. That's why I asked if it was a single target HP burn on the A2. Then I would say, oh, a buff spread makes sense then, because then every single chance a random attack goes, it's a chance to try to get the buff to spread, and before you know it, you have everybody. So it's essentially you're getting it on everybody. But yeah, doesn't make sense since it's an AoE. But no, I like that. I think he should have an HP burn for sure.
Yeah. So those are pretty much my ideas right there when it comes to those two champions. So yeah, that's my idea right there. But is there anything else like overall you would want to talk about as far as Elhain or Galek, just as far as champions wise?
Just want to maybe just double down on the sentiment that the starter champions need maybe a little bit of a modernized rework, maybe a couple just minor tweaks to like Aethel and Kayle, but like full reworks to Elhain and Galek, right? For sure. And then I was thinking, I was like, but if Galek gets an HP burn, and especially if it's an AoE HP burn, wouldn't that make him then the best starter champion? Like if the changes were to go the way that you suggested, what would be the best starter champion to start with then? Because it's hands down Kayle. I think at that point there's an argument to be had, right?
No, I mean that's the thing. There is an argument to be had because at that point, it's really a three-way. It's really a three-way battle at that point. Because again, like Elhain's overall within the buffs, the rebuild, like the rebound, she would still take a dip down. Even though, yeah, she's doing like she probably has the best damage output amongst all of them. But when you really think about it, like yeah, she like I said, decreased attack, decreased accuracy. That's still something that's still useful. But in comparison to dealing damage or mitigating damage to a point of multiplying it up, you still would choose Kayle, Aethel, and then of course this time around you choose Galek. But I think overall it really don't matter. Like I said, it's all these champions eventually it's like they're still progressing. But when you think to yourself overall in the game, who would you choose? Most people will pick neither Kayle or Galek at this point. And why? Because let's be honest, Galek is an easy walk-in to Spider at this point because he's placing the
exactly. That's the reason why I think people would just argue he is the best starter choice at that point. I think he would take it hands down for anybody that's reasonable. But there's going to be a bunch of old heads that'll be like, Kayle is still the best. Poisons are still the number one debuff on Clan Boss, so he is still the better choice for a beginner to choose, and just keep spouting off all the same things that we know about Kayle, which isn't to say that Kale's bad. And like I said, even with some minor tweaks to maybe kind of rephrase some of the verbiage and his spells to make it a little bit modernized and not like a full rework, but like some minor tweaks. Even with that, if Galek has HP burn and especially an AoE HP burn, how could you suggest anything else? Because now you have a really good foothold on Spider and Clan Boss, right? Like Kayle. Oh wait. I guess you could argue that Kale's really good in Fire Knight then, though. Somebody's going to be like, yeah, but Kayle comes in with the 5 multi-hitter for Fire Knight. So obviously that's equivalent, right?
Well,
like it's like, what's more important?
Well, it's actually
accessories or right? Like it becomes an argument. I like it.
I mean, yeah, but not really. Because it's like, even like I said before, right? I don't know if they would change the A3 to an AoE or they keep it as a attack at 4 times, right? But even if they were to attack, they say they keep the Galek at attack at 4 times, then again, it's still the same thing, right? Galek is still going to be good there too because Cursed Blade attacks 4 times. That's 4 drops on the shield. Kayle, same thing, drop 4 times on the shield. Aethel, because of her A1, she could drop it 3 times, but she's doing it more consistently. And then Aethel, she's just doing it the same way she's been doing it. So it don't really change unless, like I said, unless they change the A3 to an AoE. But personally, like I said, like just looking at everything across the board, I mean, again, when you really look at it,
I think
Galek is going to have an upper hand because, again, Spider becomes way more easier thanks to Galek, putting out HP burn on all those spiders, which means you can do the whole HP burn comp of just burning the little spiders and letting them burn and sizzle the mother spider downhill, which is why Plarion more likely said, no, we're not going to do that. That's too
That'd be too nice. But it'd be nice that at least to have Galek and Elaine feel more viable than they do right now. That's right. More like the genesis of where the sentiment and the whole question comes from, and wanting a rework in the starters. But I agree.
Right. But I will ask one more question. So as we already know, we are doing our little straight from scratch series, or at least for this one-time series, because of course the next one that we do, we actually will be using like a link code to start the game. But in this case, let me ask you right now, Supreme. Let me ask you right now. This is a little bit of a little surprise. When we do start the next account after 1 year playing the first one, who are you planning on picking for the next one?
For the starter champion or for the promo link?
Between Elhain and Galek. Who would you start with?
Oh. As they stand?
Yeah, as they stand, because
I don't have experience with either, really.
Well, hey.
What would be the better option? Crap, man. It's hard because this is the conundrum, right? Because they don't have a direct tie to something that's going to give you an advantage in the game.
Which is why I'll choose. We're actually going to use the actual link code and get some legendaries off of those, because those are going to be a little bit harder. Yeah, just to fill in the gap, but also just to show off the experience, like what it is without it, what it is with it. So yeah, but
probably Elaine then.
Okay, you're gonna go with Elaine. All right.
Probably go with Elaine.
Are you sticking with that? Because that's what we're keeping at. There is like when we go there.
When we get there, let's pencil it in for now, and we'll do like a final reevaluation.
You gotta think it now. That's what I'm asking you. You gotta lock it in.
Oh man,
think about it, because we just went through the skill sets of both of these champions.
I'll stick with Elaine.
All right.
I'll stick with Elaine, because even though it feels like I start with little less, because she's just damage. All she is just damage, right?
I mean, you have an easier time because Galek, Elhain, she don't need accuracy at all. She don't need accuracy.
Yeah. So, like I said, the simplicity in her kit and the simplicity of the champion may hopefully allow me to kind of work a different way, for sure.
Right. I mean, the funny thing is, Galek, he don't need accuracy either. Because again, other than the decreased defense, I can just go get that from somewhere else. I can get that from War Maiden. I can get that from, if we were to choose Zorgala out of the list. I mean, I haven't considered it yet, but we choose Zorgala, that's already a cleanup of decreased defense already. Ugo, because Ugo's now a Primo Code link. I forgot what the code is, but she's also a considerable Primo Code link right now. So there's other options. I don't need to worry about actually amongst Galek either. So
yeah, for sure. And then when it comes to the promo link, are we going to use have free reign on anything that's content creator available, or are we going to restrict to just using the generator?
So it will be the generator. We'll be using the generator.
The generator?
Yeah. So this is how it works. I will pick based upon what they have current in the generator, what is the best balance of two champions, two epics that are good to start off with. Honestly, right now I already know what I would choose, because it's really easy. Honestly, I already know what I would choose. Actually, let me get it right now. I'll just show it out right now, so we have a clear understanding. Why would I go with these two picks for me personally?
So I won't be able to use the generator and create my own two picks, or so we both use the same.
So I think it would be fair to just use the same two picks, because again, we're trying to keep the integrity of that. The only difference is that will be different. Will just be the Primo Code. Like, you can use whatever champion you want to use in Primo Code, but as far as the main two picks, let's keep it the same because it's going to be beneficial for both of us in the same idea format of how we're progressing the game. So for me, right, this is what I already thought. And again, this is still up for debate. We'll figure it out later down the stretch. But my main two picks, and this was pretty obvious because we have Elhain and Gillette. I was thinking we started off with Zargala. That's going to be the decreased defense straight up. And then for the support, it would be Vergus, which is also so. Again, we're getting two champions right amongst these two, which will help both of us, right? Because you're going to pick Elhain. Vergus is going to help her there as far as early in on High Elf. So that's an extra champion you have for Faction Wars. For me, I'm going to get Zargala. That's an extra champion for me in Faction Wars. And then we both get a champion that both support us in Demon Lord. So perfect across the board. And plus, it's also good for Arena as well, right? So these two champions, pretty much ideal. Now, whoever we pick amongst the Primo Code, neither from this list or from Hell's Hades,
or whatever is available,
that's ultimately on you.
Yeah, for sure. Out of those two champions, go back. I really like Vergus. My my top three would have been no wait, I guess it's so hard because now that I think about it, like my top. So I'd go. My two support options would be my votes would be for like Vergus and Rector Drath, and then my damage options would be Feign and Stagnite.
There is
Isn't Stagnite one of the options?
No, Stagnite is a Primo Code.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. So these are the only champions out of the first two that you can choose from?
Yeah, these are the only two champions.
Then probably, Feign and Zargala would probably. Yeah, so Rector Drath and Vergus, and then Feign and Zargala. Those are the four that I would that I look in here that I think I could build off of, right? Even if I just got one of them, right? So
okay, so from a standpoint of support, you would say Rector
or Vergus. Vergus being the number one choice out of the two.
You say Rector Draft or Vergus. Okay, and then from a damage per side,
Feign and then Zargala.
You said Zargala and then Feign. So this is what I'll say, right? Other than like pretty much like Faction Wars, why did I pick those two between Zargala and Vergus? Because here's my main ideal reason why I chose these two, right? So I didn't choose Feign because yes, Feign would have been good as far as like she brings some resources and all that. But the thing is, Feign is such a hard thing to really keep up. You really have to because it's the balance for her is very tough to balance her out. Because it's like, honestly, you really got to ask yourself two things. Is she going to come in as a debuffer or is she going to come in there as a damage dealer / nuker? And because of that, you have to ask yourself which one you want out of that. So someone I know that that's asked me to help them build it out, it was like, okay, it became so much that they literally had to choose one road. So what they did was they made sure she had damage, they made sure she had defense and HP. They skipped out on the crit rate and the crit damage, and they made sure she also had accuracy. But funny enough, she was doing a decent amount of damage without the crit damage and the crit rate. So I'm like, okay, interesting. Oh, can't knock it. So I was like, okay, well, can't knock it, because she was doing damage regardless without it.
Mm-hmm.
Because all he really focused on was her staying alive, pushing out damage, and I believe he has an unkillable team. Yeah, he has the unkillable because he has Maneater and Painkeeper combo. So that was just that's another easier thing right there. But overall, just being able to stay alive and do that, it was like, okay, yeah. And she was still able to do that much amount of damage because she did like millions worth of damage.
Yeah, she's a staple like that. She's a crutch. That's why for me, she's been the biggest reason I've progressed in Clan Boss. She's been my number one biggest hitter for a long time. After Kale, of course, but once she took it from Kale, like I can't find any combinations in which if I take Fane out, I can even come close to matching the damage. That's why I like her. But Zargala has the weaken and the decreased defense, so that's what's most important, right? So that's why I said
I think it's only decreased defense. I don't think so. She has weaken.
Zargala.
Let me
got
check.
weaken and decreased defense.
Let me check because I don't remember that. Wait, does she? Oh yeah, she has weaken on the A1. Okay, I'm tripping.
Yeah. So like she basically the only thing she differs between Fane and her is that Fane brings poisons. So like she's like Fane's an ultimate clan boss specialist, but yeah. So but like Zargala does really well in clan boss too, right? So like I'm not opposed to. I've been trying to bring her in to my clan boss team on the challenge account because I have her and I got her to 62 and fully mastered, or no, almost mastered. I got her. Where do I got her? That's the one thing I don't have outside of Aethel. I only have one champ. Yeah, I only have Aethel at full masteries. I'm still slowly grinding out the masteries for my first starting 5.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely a consideration. Other than that, because you said Rector draft. I mean, look, I do like the idea of Rector. It's just the overall idea that I have as far as just thinking about the process that I look at in the long term thing. It's like again, it's like getting an extra champion for yourself, getting an extra champion for myself. As far as within the faction, it was just more ideal for me to go that route for those main two. But down the line, it could be an idea where we change it.
No, for me, like I said, I would choose Vergus over Rector Drath.
Yeah.
And then the other way, I would choose Fane over Zargala. But I wouldn't be upset with any one of those 4. Like any 2 of those 4. Does that make sense? The only reason, because Rector Drath, like she brings a little bit of utility for clan boss, but she's not a total clan boss champion. Yeah, like the revive is nice just in case somebody gets dropped. The damage reduction with the veil helps a little bit, but it's not what freaking Vergus can do in clan boss. Vergus brings ally protection and he's freaking strong in clan boss. So for me, he's A1. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends because I think they're both good in that position. It doesn't really matter. Because again, you got to remember too, Rector, she also drops decreased attack on the A1. So she's doing that. She's healing. Yeah. She's putting out perfect veil. And then she's reviving. That's a lot of things to do within that.
It is. And the revive is also helps get through certain things, dungeons outside of just clan boss. So like that, because it's hard to get a good reviver. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Because let's be honest, the shaman is not going to be the greatest reviver in the game.
No, not good at all.
So that's what I'm saying. It's very
tough
idea between the two. But again, you're right because again, the Vergus does brings a lot within the A2, right? The continuous heal, the increased speed, the reflect damage, the ally protection, the increased defense for itself, and then by the time it takes every amount of damage by 10%, it's like it's already gonna put a new shield out there. So if you're able to get region gear to keep him alive, or even
or guardian,
region guardian, however, whatever keeps him alive to constantly keep recycling
protection.
Healing, it's gonna be the idea, right? So
that's why I was super happy when you said him. I was like, yes, okay, I'm happy.
But yeah, no, because I think honestly, when you really think about it overall, it's really just the best idea for those types of champions to really have, because ally protection just makes it way more better. The only tough part with Vergus is hopefully down the stretch you do get a champion that can revive amongst your pools, because
you have to leave the reviver to chance.
Yeah, because you need him to revive right back so he can keep doing what he needs to keep doing.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, right? But those, because like I said, for me, I still have it on Zargala and Vergus personally.
I like those two. I do.
So Faye is it's a little tough. I mean, granted, I do understand the Faye part because, of course, between both Elhain and Gleck, there is no poisoner. So it's something you have to sit here and say to yourself, who do you get in the game if you get lucky enough to add to the team that brings the poisons, right? So of course, Frozen Banshee has an early option. Maybe you randomly get a KO, then you put in the KO. Or if you get very lucky, you get Orin Priest, Mikalax.
Mycelic Orin Priest, yeah.
Yeah. So, just getting one of those types of champions as far as for poisons, let alone for poison sensitivity, those will just be big. But I think literally those two are the best option in this whole list overall. Granted, I mean, don't get me wrong, Ultimate Galek is another option with the HP burn, because all he needs is to have increased attack to place the HP burn on the enemy. So,
but he's a legendary, isn't he?
No. Ultimate Galek. Superior Galek is the
Supreme's the legendary. Sorry.
Yeah. But Ultimate Galek is
okay, good.
Yeah.
Because HP burn. But is it a single target?
I think it's an AoE if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Cool.
Hold on. Let me
I have no experience with Galek or his other ones, his evolutions.
HP burn. So let me see, right? So he has a 50% chance. He has 50% chance to place the HP burn on a single target while he's under increased attack, which there will be enough champions to help you with that overall. And then he's increasing turn meter while he's doing that if it's critical. Again, same thing, single target. He can place HP burn for 2 turns if he's under increased attack. And then each hit, he has an AoE on his A3 that does it, that can bring HP burn if he does that while he's under increased attack. So all he needs is increased attack. Doesn't matter if it's the small version or the big version. He just needs increased attack, and then he has a chance to place it. So that's the main thing right there. But again, he was somewhat of an option, but I was like, no, that's a little bit too much, because I wouldn't pick him over Zargala, because Zargala is bringing the decreased defense and of course the weaken on the A1. So that's just pretty obvious, where we should go there. And there was no one else here. Maybe the Lifesworn was the only other option I could thought of, because it does have a revive on death, but then you have to ascend it to get the revive on death, so it wasn't really optional. Lady Annabelle could have been another option too.
I was thinking her.
Yeah, well. So she could have been another option, especially since she's like a solo boss type champion.
But so Vergus can do a lot of the same things like solo bomb too, right?
Right, so it that's another reason why I also picked Vergus, because he can also be saved for later on for those types of solo bossing.
Scarab King, because he can solo Scarab King and freaking Bommel, so
right, so
he's so strong, dude. I love him.
Yeah, so things like that, it's just very easy. The only things with that is you just got to constantly keep switching sets with him. That's the crappy part.
I'm happy. I'm feeling more confident for the next challenge.
Yeah, but as far as for, like I said, for the Primo code, again, that's up to whoever you want. Wait, they bringing Kanagashi in there too? Oh damn, they changed that again. Okay, so far as I know, they said that Sun Wu and Loki are going to be done soon, so they're going to be gone eventually. But
they might be gone by the time we
probably probably. But right now they got Grass Warren, Runark. They got Alice the Wanderer. They got Supreme Galek, which they said that was going to be short term, but apparently it's going to be long term.
It was a month. We started our account to hold it just in case.
Right, and then they said that they're like, oh no, actually we're going to extend it. And I know they have another legendary Void champion that they're putting out from the Barbarians that they also gave a free promo code for new accounts. So that would be another option as well. Hold on, let me go find the champion.
If Mordecai is still there, I might go Mordecai, because if Wukong's not there and Loki's not there, Wukong would have been the choice that I would have taken. Alice is a good nuker and stuff like that, but I find it's hard to build a team with her for her when you're weak, when you're really early game. You know what I mean? So it's you have to bench her to kind of prioritize your epics and stuff that'll actually get you through progression to where you can be doing high enough stages of Dragon Tournament to be able to build her properly. Because I don't think I have her built well enough, but yeah, like to have she requires so many stats. She's got like 6 priority stats, so it's like a pain in
Yeah,
the
he
butt to
does.
build her.
I mean, yeah,
But
but that's
when
what
you
I'm saying.
got
It
her,
all really depends what you want to do with her. So it's like one of
so
those things. But
I'm thinking it might take too long.
but as far as for this, because you're saying that you would go with the Mordecai for the promo
I'm,
code.
I'm thinking the two that stand out the most are Mordecai and Ugo to me. Those are the two. Maybe Myceliac Priest might be a third one in there. There's no need for Taragi because Vergus is going to be in there. Outside of that, Supreme Galek is a solid choice, but the thing I don't know if I want to pick a legendary because you have to book them, and it takes a long time for legendary books at the beginning. So I'd rather get a bunch of solid epics right off the start. Stagbite might be an option. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. So yeah, because there's a lot of ideal carries. But real quick, so this would be the champion. Tunawak.
oh, this is the new one.
Yeah, this would be the new Primo code. I forgot what I think it's like Sandmother or something like that. I gotta check what the Primo code is, but definitely she would be the other option. Just go look at Race Legends channel so y'all can see the Primo code. But yeah,
That's insane. A 4.5 overall to give away is pretty huge.
I mean,
I love it. That's awesome.
But yeah, and she covers a lot of the games, right? Like single target, decreased speed, continuous heals, decrease attack, block buffs, debuff spread, increase defense, increase speed. Removes a random debuff from all allies at the start, and then amongst removing, she can remove 2 if you have a continuous heal up, which is it's quite massive, right? Like she's cleansing, she's increase debuff and increase speed. She's dropping the decrease attack to just to control the scenery. So she's doing a lot of like support skills. So she's pretty top tier for sure. But I ain't gonna lie, cause she's something that I'm thinking about as an idea choice. But it's hard because of course you see the Stag Knights of the world. You see, Duke the Pierce, Sigmund the High Shield, or even the Supreme Galek. So it's really like
Sigmund
something
is so good.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things.
Right? Wait. There's a package where you can get Talia and Fenix?
Yes, they're a duo package, the duo relationship. So that's actually 2 champions for the price of 1 code.
What? Whoa. That might be an option, actually.
Yeah, I was
Fenix
thinking
is strong. Doesn't he have what's his mechanic that makes him good? Because he's come up in progressive chances.
Yeah, block revive.
Oh, he's a block revive. He can block revive.
So pretty much he will be outcasting Armiger in a sense from that standpoint.
Oh, okay.
From the block revive standpoint, but that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly. But he's pretty good though, because he definitely is, because that A1 is really like crazy when he hits.
Oh, okay. Because I know I see him in a lot of teams, and I see him in general in lists and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I've never got the chance to be able to get him though.
No, yeah, but he's really good. I mean, again, the A1 is so strong because he's can literally nuke off an enemy with that A1, and he can place a block revive because they can't revive back from that point. On the A2, he places a block buff. He's able to place a block buff. He's also able to place a block active skills against enemies, right?
Block active skills, that's huge.
Right. If you don't do if you can't land, if the skill doesn't land the block buffs, then you may just land the block active skills. Plus, also, if you have Talia with both of them on the same team, Talia can drop bombs, and it can also detonate the bomb debuff by 1 turn. So actually having both of these 2 can actually help you on Bommel, right? From that perspective.
That's okay. Okay.
And then of course on the A3, it also has a decreased defense and an decreased speed, even though it's only 1 target though. But yeah, it's pretty nice. So he's pretty good all around.
There are options. There are definitely options.
But yeah, they're definitely options. What else is there?
I like Mordecai because like I lean to Mordecai just because Spider's Den is so important, And also because over what 5 or 6, 7 accounts now, something like that, whatever I'm at, I have yet to pull a champion that has AoE HP burn. And that's something that I've been like just dying for on every account. So to just have that to start might be something that just kind of like monkey off my back and never have to worry about again. Right? Because when you got Zargala, you got Vergus, right? An HP burn, and then AoE HP burn for Spider. Like, oh man, throwing a curse set in there, you're laughing. A stun set too, maybe. Yeah. Any updates to the challenge account? Any big news? Anything?
Nothing that I have to ultimately report. Nothing really happened. Like I said, I mean, I didn't record this the other day, but pretty much I'm working on my War Priest's masteries. I already got some green scrolls. I think soon enough. After I think I'm about to max them out, so I can go on to the red and gold ones. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pushing her to get some scrolls. But other than that, nothing really massive have really popped off. Honestly, with the chance of getting a 1+1 on ancient shards, definitely want to go in there, trying to go into dungeons. Hopefully, I can get an ancient shard in there, and then hopefully be able to, pull my luck and get 2 Legos maybe, and try to get some of the best options as much as possible on the account. But before the things close out. But yeah, it's it's one of those many options I'm trying to figure out, but nothing too crazy as of yet. There's definitely some other champions I have that are good. It's just I haven't choose to build them out yet because I'm just worrying about the main steeds of the account. But yeah, but definitely, like I said before, there's also definitely some other champions like amongst Hell's Hades. So he has the more extended list a little bit more where he has let me see. So of course there's a Laura here if you want to get a Void Epic nuke. There's a Kermac, the high points. There's Apothecary, of course, if you ever would have considered him.
Koska's there.
Yeah. Monson was already mentioned. Who else? Urticata is another option, which has poison sensitivity amongst her skill sets. There's Finchi, which has poisons and is also good for Fire Knight. Melika Steel Girdle, she's a reviver. Nice, solid champion. We already know about the Stag Knights. We already know about the Sigmund. So yeah, just those few champions on that list that is not shown on the Raid Shadow Legends generator page. Definitely that you can look at or definitely pick up that still work. So yeah, there's definitely those codes right there. There's definitely those options. Definitely like those are really much more. Other than that, I mean, honestly, it's just those randomizers. Because funny enough, right? Because if you had, I don't know if you noticed the random champion chest, but one of the random champion chests. Now this is the crazy part, right? Let me find it to make sure I'm looking at this. So, okay, so the first random chest here is right. You get a chance you're ultimately gonna get an epic champion, but out of all of them, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only about 4 to 5 champions in there are the best options. The other ones are pretty much food, and then you're getting the resources, right? But the second chest, now this is the crazy part. The second chest gets you a bunch of rares, which are most of them are mostly just neither fusion or neither the fusion pieces or neither rares you want to keep. You get the Banshee, aka I believe that's just Banshee. You get Templar, you get War Maiden, you get Thuris. I forgot, I don't know how to say her name properly. Seducer, Master Butcher, Headsman, which is garbage. Another garbage champion. I'm not even gonna mention, but there's only a certain amount of champions that are there. The only one champion that's there that is not rare, and this is actually the only Lego in this chest, is the Incarnate, and that's a chance to get her. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
But most likely you're gonna get one of those crappy rares, though. So
right. So there's 11 champions in that chest. So other than Incarnate versus the rest, that's like you pretty much got like what? I don't know what the percentile is out of that.
No chance.
it is just ugly. It is just ugly.
I'm not taking that chance. I saw those random ones. I was like,
it's a 0.09 percentile. So you're not even getting close. Like it's not even gonna happen. Like 0.9% just to get the Lego. Oh, that's just crazy.
That's a low chance, man. I'm not taking that chance, man. Just get stuck with nothing after that because you're essentially just gonna get a 3-star chicken at that point, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, give or take is like, I mean, because even if you don't, it's like okay. You get Candle Guard, you get the Abyssal, you get Master Butcher, Seducer, War Maiden, Templar. Okay, that's fair. I mean, and then Banshee. So that's like 7 champions that are decent. The rest of them you're just fooding or using for fusion piece.
Not worth it.
No, it's not like no. It's like no.
Definitely not going to be using one of those. That's wild.
I mean, so it was just just horrible. It's just a horrible idea. Horrible.
Man, yeah. The last week or two, all I've been doing is just making food and trying to be as efficient as possible when to do it. Like when there's a champion training tournament going, trying to make sure. And when nothing's up, I've just been biting the bullet and being like, okay, I'm just going to drop my free energy into Minotaur or Potion Keeps, doing the dirty work that I like instead of the stuff that I actually want to be doing and wasting my champion training and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I've been able to get some progress. I'm actually up to 6. How many 60s do I have? Hold on. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 60s so far. No, 6, because I have Geo at 60. So yeah, so that's all I've been doing. And then I saw that Lego event, the 1+1, and I was like, man, I have no freaking ancients coming my way. And it freaking dawned on me, bro. Yesterday when I had like nothing else to do, I'd basically gotten all my books and everything out of all the events. I decided to dump some energy into Nightmare Campaign to try to get to the ancient shards from there, because you get 5 ancient shards out of Nightmare Campaign when you get to 90 stars. So it was a grind to get there, but I finally got 90 stars, and I was like, well, I got 5 chances at the freaking at the double Lego, and freaking I don't know which one it was, but I freaking hit, bro. And I landed Iron Brago, and then
Iron Brago, okay,
Iron Brago, and then the second one that came was a guy called Vergumcar. He looks like a mount. So I got ridiculously lucky on those 5 pulls.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, between our 2 challenge account, he has all the luck, and I just got all the.
It's just following intuitions, bro. That's all it is. Like I just had nothing else to do, and I was like, I don't want to dump this energy into champion training because I see a champion tournament starting in 14 hours, so might as well get more out of it. And I'm like, well, I can't dump this energy freaking here or there. And I'm like, well,
yeah, see, I need to hear
do Nightmare. I was like, let me get some ancient shards. Let me get a shot at this. It's the only thing that made sense using that energy. And I barely got, like, I probably had like 30 or 40 energy left over after trying to get to those 90 stars, bro. It was a pain in the butt. But I'm so glad that I don't know what possessed me to do that, dude. I just got in my head. I was like, well, there's nothing else to do. This is the only logical thing. And I just pushed for like 6 hours yesterday. And then right before bed, I didn't stream it. I didn't even think it was going to hit to tell you the truth. And it was like the second or third one, maybe. And then I seen it come up and I was like, no way. I was like, I didn't even record it. That sucks. But he solves the increased defense. Old Iron Brago, he's definitely on the.
Yeah, but let's close out. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the show. You got any last words, Supreme?
No, man. Just I hope everybody's enjoying their raid this week and staying on top of their resources and not letting tokens expires or keys expired. And hope everybody's having a good time.
Yep. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to both channels. Make sure you hit the like, make a comment, and if you do make a comment, hey, tell us what you like us to talk about amongst the game. Thank you guys for tuning on in. See you guys next time. Peace.